My name is Christina Farley and I'm a PhD student in the History of Art department at the University of Cambridge. Art history is a really broad subject, but the kind of work I do involves finding out what objects and images can tell us about the ways humans think and behave. The things that they make, use and admire tells us a lot about their interests and actions and the wider culture of a given period. One of the bigger questions my research answers is, how do images communicate? I specialise in the art of Tudor England, the time of Henry VIII and Elizabeth I. This was a period of huge social and religious upheaval. Henry VIII started what has become known as the English Reformation, the Brexit of its day. Initially, this was about breaking away from the Roman Catholic Church because the Pope wouldn't agree to Henry divorcing Catherine of Aragon. But it soon got caught up in the kinds of religious issues already being debated on the continent in the wider Protestant Reformation. One of the major issues was whether or not images should be allowed in churches. Reformers were afraid that pictures and statues of Jesus Christ, the Virgin Mary and the saints were being abused by worshippers who were thought to be mistaking images for what they represented and thus committing the sin of idolatry. The controversy led to images being removed and destroyed under Henry VIII and his son Edward VI, a process known as iconoclasm. Until recently, historians thought that the destruction had been so traumatic and fears about idolatry so great that people ended up being completely iconophobic, that is, afraid of having any images at all. My research argues against this idea by showing not only that people had lots of images, but that their images were deliberately vivid. My research also tackles another problem. Almost nobody in Tudor England wrote about art. On the continent, in Italy and Germany, the Renaissance was in full swing and lots of people were writing down their opinions about art, but not in England. So how can you write about people's reactions to objects if nobody wrote about them at the time? Well, my research tackles this problem by using contemporary discussions about another medium, literature. The art of rhetoric is the art of good communication, techniques and tricks for teaching and persuading an audience through speech and writing. The Tudor education system, from grammar school to university, was based on the art of rhetoric, training students to communicate effectively, primarily in Latin. But the techniques for making your subject really vivid and immediate for your readers have parallels in techniques used by Tudor artists. Let me give you an example. If I wanted to describe a person to you so vividly that you feel like you know them, I might start by describing their physical appearance and then tell you about their family background, their education, and their virtues. This portrait of Sir Christopher Hatton does something similar. We know what he looks like. There he is at the centre of the image, but surrounding him are coats of arms, emblems, and verses, all of which fill in the background on his character and upbringing. Some people have suggested that the layering of symbols on this portrait is designed to distance the viewer and make sure that they don't mistake the portrait for the real man. But I think that these symbols and inscriptions are there to tell you more about him and make him more immediate, more vivid to you as a viewer. By exploring how images could vividly communicate to Tudor viewers, I aim to make a case for 16th century confidence in the visual. My research is ultimately about the ways humans and objects relate to one another.